YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this. We've got the P-47 1.2. It's being re-released just like this. Only difference is we have the smart technology, thrust reverse, all the good things that we've come to expect in the 1.2 meter size class. Throttle cuts off, thrust reverse is on, just so we can back taxi this beautiful out. We've got the Ordnance on there, 2 bombs, rocket pods, and a drop tank. And we're gonna see how this thing does. All right, here we go. 3200 4S. Get it up on a mains. Put those gear away for easy storing. We're just gonna take it for a nice little loop around town. 30% on the throttle. Going right over the tree line. Got a little bit of wind we're dealing with. There's 100% as we pass the camera. As you can see, this thing has crazy ups on 4S 3200. Nice little roll here for us. We're gonna bring it around. And as you can see, the winds are quite variable where we are because the windsock was limp when we started and then it was straight out just then. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, look at those ups, they're so good. It's like it's not even phased by gravity. So guys, if you haven't seen this Warbird for a while, it's because I believe they were discontinuing it, or it was discontinued for some time. But as you can see, it's come back out, which is pretty awesome. And better than ever, rated for 3 and 4S. I know a lot of you guys were flying your originals on 4S. Now the wind is from our back. Let's go about 4 steps out toward the runway. Full landing flaps here. We're gonna try that again. Takeoff flaps. Going around the bowl, very turbulent wind. Inside pass this time. Takeoff flaps deployed. As you can see, having to really carry a little extra speed because we've got that wind we're fighting. Love the way it looks fast. But you don't have to go fast. You can go slow too, especially if you're into the wind. So yes, the retracts are gorgeous on this plane, but very simple. No springs, and they are rock hard tires. So just remember that when you're doing your main or your flights. You gotta really grease them in to get a nice smooth landing. And then also, we opted to go with the middle hole, and for whatever reason, our rudder was in the outside hole, and so we had to change that. Now, you guys will probably get yours in the middle hole out of the box, but I think the product development team must have been doing some quality sampling on this thing before we got it, and they must not have put it back into the middle. So if you guys put it in the outside hole, you may fail to have enough throw to deal with the P factor on your initial roll for Maiden, because you do need a lot of rudder to counter that P factor. And as you can see, the AS3X has this locked in, putting it in safe now. Good bank angles still allowed, and I'll just show you guys here. Got to really move the sticks when you're in safe, but it auto levels. So as you can see, limit up, let go, levels the plane off. Let's do a little bit of a roll here. Not a roll so much as a turn, sorry guys. About 50% throttle, full landing flaps here. Let's just show you. The auto leveling definitely works, but I definitely do not fly with safe anymore. It's just a very nice tool to have if you're a beginner. But I would not suggest this plane as a beginner. It just definitely takes a little bit more skill on the takeoff and landings. If you want a Warbird that's gonna give you a little bit easier time, a little bit wider flight envelope, I would say the P-51 is definitely your choice in the 1.2 meter size. Very good. The Cripes Almighty. Little stall turn here for you. But I could definitely say this is a close second. And if you're thinking, I want the F4U Corsair, that's another great choice. You'd be very happy with it. But again, as a beginner, I have to say, you need to kind of stick with the basics, and the P-51 is by far the easier of the three, in my opinion. Gear coming out here. We're gonna get over here and just see if we can shoot an approach. It's a lot windier than I thought. We had the same thing happen last night. I was flying with a friend, and we don't do that too often anymore. It seems like we're always filming. But look at that crab, guys. Look at that crab. Absolutely incredible. Just how much the vector has changed since even when we took off. Here's our timer. Of course, we have telemetry now, so you don't have to go by the timer. But I've just noticed both last night and tonight, look at this vulture here going over the tree line. Let's see if we can take it on. Chow vulture, full landing flaps here. Now there is thrust reverse, so you can put this thing down in a hurry, but look at the vector. It just wants to go at an angle. And we got to kick it over at the last second. And then we've got our anti-UPS rod there. That's been a real challenge for me. It's actually kind of a fun challenge, unless you hit your plane, which I have a number of times. Camera crew is going to switch sides with me, go over toward the bowl. That way she can capture this. Now on the CG in the manual, you may notice that the 3200 has to be all the way to the firewall to be able to facilitate getting the CG just quite right. But I'm gonna warn you, if you do that on 2200 for your Maiden, you may actually be tail heavy. So just be aware, you need to be careful about where the CG is on this plane. You might be surprised. You might need to actually add a little bit of dead weight, which we do not ever recommend. That's why I was gonna suggest possibly flying on 4S, 4000. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can go crosswind, different approach here. We're gonna hit this hole in the trees, and we're gonna bring it in like this and see if we can get that thing to relax down. And there we are. Beautiful. Look at that thing trying to lift up the wing, even with thrust reverse, does not stop Mother Nature from responding. But I gotta say, without that ability to slow it down, almost like it's grabbed the tail hook on this plane, that would have been a tough landing, because we are getting some aggressive winds, but nothing stops these smart equipped Warbirds. We've been super, super happy with them. They definitely leave very little to be desired, with the exception of LEDs. That's about the only thing you're gonna wanna complain about on this. We're about 6 minutes into flight time, 2 minutes past our 6. That'd be 8 total minutes of flight time, just under. And our telemetry shows our voltage at about 20% left. So we're gonna fly just a little bit more on this circuit here. Okay, so we wanna go forward thrust this time. Okay, get that tail wheel up. Whoa. And that was one of those occasions where, okay, so I just wanna talk about that. I was full rudder, and I must have just caught that wind right here. The wind is going like this here, but then look how it's going there. It's a 90-degree vector change. It's just definitely, you'll get that once in a while when you're nearby to a structure. So just be Johnny on the spot with that. I also have my landing flaps on. I should probably go to my takeoff flaps or no flaps, and we'll see if that helps a little bit. We're gonna pause and reset. Okay, takeoff flaps are off. We're waiting for a gap in the breeze, and here we go. Okay, getting into the throttle. Whoa, see, and that's what I'm talking about, guys. That's why, as a beginner, you have to be careful with this plane. We have a narrower runway, but what I'm noticing is when I give it throttle to really kick that tail wheel up, I'm noticing that the P factor really tries to torque me, and if I don't get that transition past that certain spot, just right, it always wants to walk over like this. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and just show you the whole process right here. And I'm gonna actually line up this way and take it out to the runway. And I'll show you what I'm talking about, guys. It's very difficult to get that exactly right on the P-47. Now the P-51 is a lot less bitey. So if you're thinking about this as a beginner, it's not that you can't do it. It's just that you have to be prepared to deal with that, okay? So you may even need to go to the inside hole, and there we get that vector. The wind is going this way over our shoulders compared to that. Just a very unique circumstance. So we're gonna try it again. Okay, remember, this is all about getting up on the mains as quick as you can without, you know, if you drag it out forever, then you're gonna be in this condition where you're basically holding up the elevator, but you gotta kick that elevator forward to get the nose to tip forward. And then once you're up on the mains, you can back right off. You can get it in the air. Okay, all right, here we go. There we go. See, and then once you get that airspeed, it's alive. You've got that gap and control. Of course, there's our critically low alarm. So I'm at 30% throttle, just like really being efficient on my cruise, because I'm not gonna have 14 landing attempts. Camera crew is aware of that. Okay, gear coming out. Landing flaps now. Camera crew is aware that she needs to be out of the way, because I'm not gonna maybe get a second shot. We'll see. There it is. Got it, guys. And you hear the critically low alarm chiming as I go full thrust reverse. Now, keep in mind, full thrust reverse on this plane, if you plan to fly to a low voltage warning like I many times do on our channel here, basically I'll come in like this. You have to have some juice left to stop it, okay? So you can hear that chime. It doesn't mean that you're gonna be totally dead right away. What's gonna happen is eventually it's gonna cut back your throttle and it's gonna go to the low voltage warning, not just low voltage. The critically low alarm will still allow you to fly, but it'll eventually start pulsing. And if you pulse with thrust reverse, you're gonna really dampen your ability to stop that plane. So just a couple of thoughts. We wanted to demonstrate just how crazy the plane can be in the right conditions on takeoff. So if you see that happen, don't feel bad. You're not a bad pilot. You just got to get used to it. And also, if you have a weird vector shift like we're having right now, where the wind is going like 70, 80, 90, 100, 120 degrees different from where you start, it makes it challenging. Because again, look at the flag. The flag is pointed at probably 30 degrees of our runway. But when we're standing here, the wind's hitting here. But then when we were taking off just a minute ago, now it's hitting here. It was hitting here. Yeah. So it makes it challenging, and you'll get wind veining that interferes with the normal plane stuff you have to deal with on a Warbird. So they call this an experience level 2, and it's a bind and fly. If it was a plug and fly, I think they actually technically would call it an experience level 3, but it's not really that difficult in my opinion. It's just more, I've noticed that even though you have the wide stance, because the landing gear are really far out on this plane, it's really good for getting it down on its mains and keeping it on its mains. But it doesn't also have a propensity to want to hit the nose on the ground like the P-51 Cripes Almighty did. And I don't know if you guys remember that of recent. And that's the 4th P-51 we've done. Excuse me, the 5th. But the 4th in that variety with just different liveries. We had 2 of the June nights, both the old 636, then the 631, then we had the Cripes. And then right before that, was it the June night? Maybe it was just total of 4, because we had the Blondie before that. Mm-hmm. And I love the Blondie, but it didn't have safe. So in terms of this is our first P-47 in the 1.2 meter size. And so I'm actually quite glad they didn't change the livery a lot, because I really like that livery, except for the turd burglar tornado looking thing. Right. But I love the way that the plane flies. I love the way that it looks. And honestly, I kind of enjoy the challenge of taking it off. But if you're a brand new pilot, you want to just be careful, because you're going to be spending a lot on props and a lot on cals and a lot on crashes on takeoff with this thing if you're brand new. If you were flying from an actual runway that was super wide, you'd have more time to correct for that, right? Oh, yeah. It's just that but truthfully, if you get 90 degrees off course, you've almost ground looped it. So now the same thing can happen on ground loop, for landings, but you didn't see me doing that, did you? Because by the time you're carrying in so much, if you're hot on landings, like you have to be when it's windy, then what's gonna happen is you carry, and you don't have an issue with that ground loop. If you're throwing thrust reverse, it just kind of arrests the plane. But what happens is if you drag it out like you'd like to do with the P-51, P-47, FRU Corsair, all these Warbirds, you wanna see them drag out. It looks so beautiful. When you get a greasy landing, you wanna make it last as long as possible. Well, on this one, we're coming in hot because the wind is so strong. Now look at your trajectory, guys.
Yep.
So if you're flying in the heat of the afternoon, this is one of the things we mentioned about Joe Knoll too, is we were there and in the middle of the day, it was just calm. And it's just, we don't get that around here. When it's calm because you had rain very recently, or it's a cool day. And so the pressure is not moving around. But we had rain this morning, and you can see these thunder clouds building up. We're gonna get hit again tonight with thunderstorms. And this must be something about the Midwest and where we are regionally, you know, and where rivers and where water, bodies of water and all these things all interact together. But during the day, when we're baking the atmosphere and we've got these huge plots of soybean fields, corn fields, and things like that in the middle of central Iowa, there's thermal action, there's all sorts of atmospheric impact going on. And so it really does lead to some confusing winds. And when you're brand new, you're not gonna know to check on that. You're not gonna know to think about that. And you're just gonna think, man, I'm a bad pilot. No, you're not a bad pilot. It just literally makes a big difference. And so when we film, especially for these early releases, even though this is kind of a re-release, we try to make sure that we point out when we run into that turbulent air, because turbulent air makes the planes not look as good. But thank God for AS3X and safe. If you're a newer pilot, you can throw it in safe. You can probably get it to the ground. It's gonna give you that, it's gonna take the edge off. Okay, now you'll note that I also was out here flying and I had safe on and it was still getting jostled around, but the AS3X is still live and in charge. Now, if you want safe without AS3X, it'd be weird, but you can technically do that. Also, this is one of the first bind and fly planes we've seen with the advanced menu accessible on the receiver, which is huge. You can go in, you can mess with the gains, you can change them if you want. If you're a beginner, don't do that.
Yep.
You will screw it up. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. You might as well save to buy a new one because you're probably gonna change it to a spot where you don't want it. Gains are complicated and they have really well refined gains out of the box. That's one of the reasons why these bind and flies from E-flite are some of the most refined, because after all, FMS is making a lot of the same ones, or they're making them for E-flite. And so when we get the E-flite product, it's always our upper echelon, because you get all the good stuff from FMS and you get all the good programming and tweaks from the Spectrum and the guys down at the product development team at Horizon Hobby. So, I mean, I say that not to insult anybody at FMS or anything like that. It's just more a matter of we get the most refined package in a bind and fly, which is part of the reason why I love it as a beginner. Now, that's not to say that you guys out there at Knoll and you guys out at all these big jet events and world's best pilots, you probably don't need all that because you're skilled enough, you can just do it yourself. But for the everyday Joe like me, I'm Brian, not Joe, but for the everyday Brian Phillips, RC guy of the world, you want that. It's really nice. You may not have 15 or 16 flights to just tune your aircraft. If you do, go for it and you'll enjoy it, I'm sure. But for guys like me, I'm not gonna have 15 flights on this plane by the time I'm done with it, just because we have so many going in and back out and in and back out of the pipeline. So anyway, hopefully that answers lots of your questions. Obviously, it looks like a beautiful day. It doesn't look overly windy, but also with the tall grass, you can really see how the wind careens. There's this little spot moving here, but now look out here. You can see that tall grass just swaying back and forth. It's actually one of my favorite parts of raising hay on this property is we get to see tall grass moving in the wind. I just think it looks so cool. But also, it gives me a feel for what's going on. But you know what else it does? It creates an obstruction right there on final. And a lot of times when I'm flying, I come into this bowl and I pop out of the bowl at just about ground level and I extend my short runway. So there's always a trade-off for everything. Cool look causes you trouble for landing, okay? So also, I don't like slamming down on the grass right in front of the runway, but it is one of our smoother spots of our grass ops.
Which somebody's gonna ask, can it do grass ops?
Absolutely, yes. This plane can do grass ops. However, if you're gonna do grass ops with this, I would suggest going heavier on your pack. You wanna carry a little bit more speed. Is it gonna tip over? There's always a possibility if you hit ruts like what we've got on 3/4 of our runway, you're gonna have some trouble getting it moving. But the thing is, this sits not very steep. It's not as tall as the P-51 in that it's got that pendulum effect where it's gonna wanna rock right into the ground. It's better about that. Also, on grass, you're gonna get a little bit of protection from that rolling, you know, to the left when you get hard on the throttle. So if you got the right conditions, obviously it's better on hard surface, it's better on grass. But this plane will do them all, and it'll do it fine. Because that 10.5 prop, 4-bladed 10.5 prop with 10.58 is the pitch, and it's a 4-bladed prop. You got lots of ground clearance. You're talking probably 2.5, 3 inches of ground clearance. It's very good clearance. So if you have super tall grass, just the same as any other time, it's gonna interfere with the prop, and you end up with, you know, having green and yellow tips. But in this case, I think you could do grass ops no problem on that plane. So, and I've done it before, so I know it's good. Esteban, my good friend, my RC friend, he has this plane. It's one of his favorites. It still lives to this day. It's been completely rebuilt, I think, 2 times. And we fly it a lot. We fly it a lot. We flew it a lot. And so even though this is my first time with this plane, owning it, ours, it's not my first time flying this plane by any means. And we've flown them as big as 5,000 4S packs. I mean, we've gone, I think he might have had some weird Gens Ace pack that was even bigger than that. I can't remember offhand. But I think on this one, you know, the standard sizes that they're recommending is 2,200 to 3,200. And I think you'll be generally satisfied at that 3,200 size. But I think honestly on 4,000, you might get a little better penetration and win like this. Which leads me to my next thought, and that is we're probably gonna stop and try a 4,000. Not sure if it's gonna make the cut or not, but we'll stop and do that right now. All right, guys, so enough explanation. Now it's time. 4,000 4S. This is a 30C pack. We were using 50 on the last one, just so you know, and there's no puffage. But I'll tell you what, the spinner gets hot on this plane on 4S. So that being said, I've got my telemetry showing the pack voltage, which you're not gonna be able to see. I can see it just fine in person. And you'll notice I pulled off my drop tank, 2 bombs, and missile rocket pods. Now I wanna just point something out. Both of my, whatever, 500-pound bombs, when I pulled them out, the assembly ripped out of the bottom. One on the front and one on the back. So I used some foam glue and re-glued them. We try not to cover for stuff like that. When we do these builds, we want you to see it, but we never pulled them off on camera. So my apologies. If it would have been on camera, I would have showed it. We don't ever want to hide anything from you guys. These are great planes, but there are always going to be little things like that. Okay, take off flaps. Also, the PD guys might have done it like 10 times. I only did it once. So, okay, without further ado, camera crew is set. So as you can see, it veered to the left quite a bit. This is on 4,000 4S. So here we go. We'll go way up. Do a nice roll. Feels very good. This is the first time I've flown this plane with the CG correct per manual. My neighbor wants to see it. He's watching. If you hear it crash, it'll be my neighbor. Okay, so we're gonna bring it in right over the tree line. Boy, that feels greasy. Oh yeah! So good. Out of the throttle. Guys, love the way this plane looks in the air. It looks so clean. If you can get the bombs and stuff off of there, you're gonna like the way it flies too. I gotta say, the heavier pack, I can't even tell. It feels great. I feel like I'm gonna get a little extra flight time. Definitely penetrating the wind a little bit better too, which is always nice. Let's do a big old drawn out inside out loop, kind of a flat loop. I don't know if you call that a loop. Man, those clouds in the background are crazy. More of like an upside down corkscrew. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it over, we'll go level now. Okay, so just to give you an idea, look at that cloud back there, guys. That's gonna be some storms. Okay, harder to the throttle. Near unlimited vertical. Was that thunder?
I believe so.
Either that or a train just crashed.
I think it was thunder. Hopefully.
Full speed. Guys, looks amazing. Okay, takeoff flaps now, rolling it over, full landing flaps, and down the runway. 10% throttle. Look at the flight envelope. Very good. Camera crew's gonna come back just a couple of steps. Perfect right there. Okay, now we're doing an inside pass. This is gonna be hopefully a slow pass. The wind is sort of in this weird lull. Hopefully it doesn't pick up right while I'm doing my amazing presentation pass. Okay, into the bowl in the not so ordinary path. Look at the way it got kicked up, guys. AS3X trying its best to keep up with this Mother Nature. Okay, takeoff flaps still deployed. We're gonna take this little channel here, bringing it in low. So I must say the 4000 is feeling gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. That's about 50 to 55% throttle here out of the flaps all together now. Dirty pass coming with gear behind. Oh, buddy, that wind kicked up something fierce right when I initiated that maneuver. Okay, putting the gear away. Now that's one thing about these 1.2 meter Warbirds is you will get the rock hard tires and you're gonna think, oh, that's gonna make it hard to land. Well, to be honest with you, there's just not a lot of forgiveness on the touchdown. But if there were a plane that you can actually land easy, between this and the P-51 F4U Corsair, landings are pretty straightforward. It's just when you get into that transition state, just like any tail dragger, you gotta tame it. You gotta tame it. But I'm gonna tell you where your problem's gonna be is on takeoff. Look at the pop of color up against that green. Full landing flaps now. Oh, it's so gorgeous. That silver just looks to die for. And I love the invasion stripes on the bottom. Of course, you don't get to see them too often because if you're like me, you end up seeing the top of the plane more than the bottom. Trying to get you some scale flight performance here. Whoa, full landing flaps there. And gear. Okay, camera crew, let's go about 5 steps back, please. Man, that wind is shifting all over the place. And so folks, like I said, we try not to test these planes in aggressively windy form. We just don't think it's fair to the airplane if we test one in dead calm and the next in like crazy wind. Whoa, that was crazy. Did you see the change? I'm gonna have you go to the middle there, camera crew. Perfect. 1 minute left on the timer, but that don't mean nothing. Looking at my telemetry, whoa, our telemetry is pretty low. I must have been getting it pretty hard. Okay, so takeoff flaps, landing flaps. That's surprising. You would think with the bigger pack we get a lot longer flight time, but we're actually almost out. I must have been riding it hard, 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 hard. Full landing flaps. Gonna bring it in through that opening. Hard on the throttle. There we go. That was terrible. Okay, guys, throttle cuts on. I promise you grass ops. As you can see, we've reserved very little power for this. I apologize. I'm like a child. I get distracted by squirrels easily. Okay, we're gonna come out of the flaps. We're out of our thrust reverse. We're gonna actually try to do grass ops, but the wind is just so dang directional. Right now it's at our face. Just a second ago it was over our right shoulder. So I would like to take off going this way. So I'm gonna reset and come right back. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take off flap, full up elevator. Whoa, buddy, there we go. Okay, we're gonna try again. Okay, guys, I'm gonna just roll. And then I must have been just in a low spot. We're gonna try again. You good?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna try again. And as you guys can see, if you have a nice smooth airstrip, this isn't as big a problem, but ours is not.
No. We need some Joan Allgrass.
Ah, so close. I could have done it if I wouldn't have chickened out. I'm gonna hold the tail. Yeah, I don't know. It's just wanting to get caught on everything here now. Let's try here. We'll see if we can get it. Out of the flaps altogether then. Nope. Okay, pause. All right, so my backup plan is here. Again, I need to cut the grass, but we're gonna try this anyway. See, full up elevator, still not quite enough because our grass isn't well kept up here. Okay, trying another spot. All right, here we go. There we go, guys. Oh, man, that didn't work. All right, we're gonna try again. All right, guys, one more try. Son of a biscuit. Okay, so we didn't sustain any damage other than just a little squish on the tip. See the squish on the tip, guys? You'll see that once in a while. A little hot water will fix that. Take the hot water, dip the tip. Guys, admittedly, I just need to probably cut my grass before this thing is gonna do grass ops. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cheat. Cam crew's gonna come back over. I'm gonna just reverse thrust. I'll get a little bit of speed and then I'll do some grass ops here. Okay, you guys good? Here we go. See, that's how you really screwed up. So as you can see, the tail is not damaged any more than it was. I thought it was gonna for sure get damaged there. So now the backup plan. Now it's time to just do some grass ops landings. So we're gonna just basically take back off. We'll show you that you can land it. Out of the gear. Camera crew up here, please. Right there. So guys, that's always disappointing when you realize that your own field maintenance has caused your plane to tip over. Okay, gear coming out. As you can see, it's very turbulent out there today. Then we're gonna go full landing flaps here. Starting to slow it down. Look at that turbulence. Holy cow. Well, I was gonna take that landing. You know what? Crap, we're gonna have to try the other way. Take off flaps now. Okay, landing flaps. Look at the thermal action. Good lordy, lord. Okay, take off flaps now. Out of the gear, out of the flaps altogether. Okay, so right here, take off flaps, landing flaps. And here come the gear. We're gonna try to hit the low point. It's gonna be turbulent. See a shadow, guys? Okay, bringing it in with the wind. Now we're cutting into the final. There we go. Ooh, yes! Woo! Okay, guys, there you have it. You can do grass ops, but you're gonna have to have grass that's better manicured. Let's just show the people just how terrible this is. We have Fiscus and Kentucky Blue here. This is Fiscue. Look how tall it is. It's up to my shins. Over here, here's a good example. This is Kentucky Blue. It looks pretty good, but it's almost gone to seed. And then over here, you've got this huge spot. I don't know if somebody missed when they were mowing. I'll have to talk to that guy. So as you can see, it's definitely not gonna be Joe Knoll grass. So if your field is better kept, which I guarantee you that it is if it's a grass field, you're gonna have no problem getting that plane off the ground. However, on our field right now, especially with the rain, we're not gonna be in good shape there. So I would suggest highly, if you can do a hard surface, it's always gonna be a little easier on these Warbirds. But then again, once I mow this stuff, it'll be fine. So guys, hopefully we answered all your questions about this beautiful P-47 1.2 that's been out before. It's being re-released now with all that smart tech. up to and including thrust reverse, which is really nice. Super easy setup, super easy build. Check it out. Should have published 1 minute before our maiden flights. And I don't know if you're going to get the full lot of them, but I think we got like 4 videos now, 4 flights.
4 flights.
But what we want to do is we're trying to get you guys a sunset flight because it's so dang gorgeous. But like last night, I said I had a visitor over, and it was actually pretty turbulent, so I'm glad we didn't film then. But we got a couple of good flights in, but it was fun, just didn't look very good. And tonight, we're hoping we'll get another one of those beautiful sunsets, although all these storm clouds make it look like that might not be happening. So anyway, guys, we really appreciate you being part of our little RC ecosystem here. If you want to help support Brian Phillips RC and what we do, buy the stuff from the links. It is the best way you can help. Second best, PayPal, Patreon. Like the videos, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, the normal stuff that people do on YouTube. And then, of course, super thanks are always welcome. We appreciate you guys that go the extra mile to help support us with a few bucks, but we still prefer that you're buying airplanes, helicopters, batteries, quads, leaf blowers, and the such when we review them, because what that does is that not only earned us small commissions from the companies, not from you. That means that we're setting them business, or at least the appearances that we're setting them business. When you watch our video, we help to close the deal or whatever happens in that, environment. Then they want to do more business with us, which is called sending planes, so we can review them for you. And it just kind of completes that cycle. Okay. So you are helping to make this channel a reality every time you buy something following those BPRCme links down below, which is our short domain. And we also have BrianPhillipsRC.com, which is our regular website domain. So if you're wanting to find something and YouTube is being weird, you can go there and you can find what you're looking for, because it is very difficult to sort through 1,800 videos. Just to give you an idea, when I use my studio tools for YouTube, there's so many videos it doesn't even tell us a number.
Nope.
It's like we lost track, Brian. You got a lot. That's all we know.
Yep.
So if you're looking for something, especially something that happened earlier, like you want to put LEDs on this, and you're like, I'm not really sure where to start. We have tons of LED videos from back in yesteryear. We don't add them very often because the way that we fly and when we fly now is different than when we did it then. And I tend to do LEDs more when it's cold out, because we get dark at 5:30 or 4:30 in the middle of winter around the winter solstice, whereas now we're getting dark at like dang near 9 o'clock. So it's like, we don't need the extra time, but LEDs are always appreciated, and they have come to be an expectation by many of you, and myself included, on planes this size. So if there was a big complaint on this particular aircraft, it would be not soft tires and not LEDs. Soft tires I can do without. LEDs, I really think that might have been a miss on this one. But beyond that, still an amazing plane. Thrust reverse is in there. It's gorgeous. If it costs an extra 10 bucks for LEDs, I think everybody in the room would raise their hand and say, yes, I would give you $10 to put LEDs in. I don't know if that's what it really costs, but the thing is, I'm just going to tell you guys this. That's one of the things we've pushed for in the past. I used to do it religiously to almost every model I had. That was back when we had less models, admittedly, and before we were working with these people. But at the end of the day, I still appreciate having the points of reference when I drop below a tree line. Because right now, we don't need the points of reference because we can barely see the plane, it's so bright. But once it starts getting dark, especially when you get that beautiful sky and you get that dark backdrop of trees, I want to see where that plane is. I want to have that angle of attack. I want to see those 2 or 3 reference points. We were just flying the Carbon Z last night, the T-28. And it was amazing. It is such a good plane. And as soon as you drop below those trees, I mean, we're right at sunlight, or right at sunset. And it was just absolutely gorgeous watching those 2 lights poke out. And we were doing another plane about the same time. I can't remember which plane it was, but there's just 2 bright white lights out on the end. Which plane is that? Oh, it's a mall. Yeah. Drop them below the tips of these trees and you can just see, you have no doubt where you are. This plane, I still don't have any doubt where I am, which is good. But the thing is, you get into the right lighting with the right circumstances, with the light pink, light gray sky. You get a nice backlit tree, turns dark on you. You might lose orientation just enough that you lose the plane. So that's the other thing we want to do here, is just make sure to encourage you. If you're brand new and you're thinking, there's no way, Brian, I'm ever going to get as good as you. First of all, I'm not that good. I'm like Very, very strong intermediate average pilot, if that. Okay, you can get better than me and it won't take long. What you need to do is get yourself a beginner plane, hit us up in the comments. We'll try to reply with our basic reply. And then you can find something that fits your budget, you know, what you feel like your skill sets, what you build on, get into it, fly the heck out of it, literally fly it until it breaks multiple times, and then start jumping into new planes. And you will be there in no time, believe me. Also get yourself a simulator. They're not that expensive. They seem expensive when you're not doing the hobby. When you're doing the hobby and you realize you're gonna be putting it up against a $600, $700, $800 plane with batteries, you know, it's cheap. So definitely get yourself a simulator. Remember, a simulator is a tool, not a video game. If you're looking for a video game, there's a million of them out there, and they're better than the simulators for just playing and having fun. But if you want to learn to fly, get a simulator. Simulator is going to teach you to fly. It's going to help teach you to fly, I should say. You teach yourself how to fly, and using SAFE and AS3X and different similar technologies like that will help get you in the air quicker and with less pain and suffering, okay? All right, guys, that's all I got for you here on Brian Phillips RC. We really appreciate you staying tuned. It's a long video. I know it is. 4000, 4S, 30C seem to do a really nice job, although we got longer flight times on our 3200s in a 50C pack. It may also have to do with the wind and the changing variable conditions here. Might also have to do with the fact that I was trying to flip it over and do flips on the ground, which was not very cool to see. But maybe after I mow the grass, we won't have that problem. So guys, stay tuned. So much more from Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching. Sunset finally. It's a P-47 1.2 meter. We've got the Ordnance back on, and we're with a 3200 4S this time. We're gonna go ahead and fly this again one more time, just for good measure. We had a good day of flying, sort of, actually not. And here we go, guys. I just couldn't end without showing you thrust reverse one more time. All right, guys, lighting is gonna be a little bit rough, but here goes nothing. Takeoff flaps deployed. Let's get up on the mains and fly this thing. Out of the gear. Folks, I gotta admit, we've been working on a helicopter. The helicopter is awesome. It's very, very nice, but I'm just not a helicopter pilot. I suck as a helicopter pilot. There's so much to know, and I'm a fixed wing guy. And I love flying these planes. I love bringing you guys the latest in RC content, but boy, I feel like I've let you down so bad when we can't do things like that with impunity and feel safe doing it. Camera crew about 4 steps toward me. Perfect, right there. Full landing flaps. Thick, humid air, but cool. It's weird.
Ish.
And honestly, I gotta say, the Ordnance looked phenomenal on this plane. And we've flown all but one flight with 4000 4S 30C. And I love the way it looks with the Ordnance. I gotta say, it's one of the few planes I actually kind of want to leave the Ordnance on. But also it's easy to store on these Warbirds because you can see there's that centrally located drop tank. That's the only one that I have problems with because it makes it hard to hold for thumbnails. I know that's kind of a hyper specific issue. You guys probably won't have that same issue, but I do. And by the way, we were just gonna showcase how this looks without LEDs at Twilight. And so that's why we're flying at Twilight. And the camera crew was like, the lighting is not good enough. And I said, of course it's not. That's the whole point. But truth is, guys, we wanna make good content. She wants to make good content. I wanna make good content. And so every once in a while we get kicked in the butt by an amazing product that we can't bring the best in front of you. And we feel like we've shortchanged our partners. So it's just been one of those days, but I love this plane. And not about this plane, by the way. We love this plane. We feel like we're showing it just fine because it is gorgeous. But this other product we're doing, you'll see soon enough and you'll understand, I think. Here we go, let's see if we can slow it down for an absolutely gorgeous touchdown, or maybe just a touch and went. Touch and went. So folks, if you're new to the channel, this is Brian Phillips RC. My wife films for me, she's really good. I'm very fortunate to be able to fly where we are because we're in Class G airspace and we built a house on an acreage outside of town, and we love it here. We have about 23 acres. Hope to get a little bit more at some point if we can ever win the lotto.
Have to play.
Oh, that's right, we don't. Sorry. So guys, if you want to help support the channel so we can keep doing what we do for you, buy these planes, support us in that way. We get small commissions from these manufacturers when you buy them. And for that reason, many people think that we will tell you every plane is good. We don't.
They're not.
We tell you the truth. And the truth is sometimes painful because sometimes we don't like them that much. And other times we just don't like them. And a lot of people other than us might love them. But we try to share our findings so that you can make a value judgment yourself, unless it's Dynam and then they suck.
But see, not everybody thinks
Not
that.
everybody thinks that. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to get sued. And also, by the way, we did have a few good Dynams.
Yeah.
There was the C-17. Was it a C-17? Is that what it was? The twin engine?
That was
really good.
Yeah,
And then
that was pretty good.
there was also,
Well, the turbojet.
The turbojet was cool, but that was because I made it cool. I had a lot of work involved in that.
That's what Dynam is.
Oh yeah, it's project
You have
planes.
to make it cool yourself.
Not like this thing, this P-47 from E-flite,
Just-
1.2 meter. You pull it out of the box, you put about, what, 7 or 8 screws in it?
Yep.
And the
it's
thing is
cool
golden and
already.
it's perfect, and look at the gear coming out. Guys, this plane is so greasy and delicious. Your heart doctor is gonna tell you not to eat it. That's thrust reverse. And by the way, yes, I did just talk about it being greasy and delicious and your heart doctor. So guys, in our other flights, I don't know if we'll end up sharing all 5 of them.
4,
Well,
5.
this is 5.
This is 5.
I feel like I'm doing like a 400-point turn here.
That's a little much.
Okay, so here we go. You guys may notice a lot of oscillation in the throttle on takeoff on this plane. That's because you have to get the thing to go straight. That's the P factor is a factor. The P factor is real. The P factor is the reason why I don't suggest this plane as a beginner warbird. Now, why would I not suggest this plane as a beginner warbird, but I would the P-47, excuse me, the P-51. Look at that beautiful pink up there. So gorgeous. Why? Why, camera crew? Because this one has more P factor issues than the P-51. However, this one does not like to reach up and grab the concrete with its prop. Not quite as bad as the P-51. It seems to do it a little bit worse on the grass, especially if you're like me and you don't cut your grass
Yeah.
like you should. Look at that
True.
absolutely amazing pink, purple, blue, white, gray. And guess what, folks? That is a silver plane. Have I lost it yet?
Nope.
Lucky for you, I had LASIK. Look how gorgeous that is. Going behind my. Oh yeah, that is so sweet, guys. Just finding the sweet spots, finding the tight holes where we can stick it on camera for YouTube. So guys, if you want to buy one for yourself, just check out the links in the video description below. You can buy one, you can enjoy it. I'm gonna shoot the moon here. I'm gonna go under and just hook it and go straight up. Ready? Whoa, yeah, buddy! Love the pink skies. So gorgeous, folks. Really blessed to be where we are. And obviously you guys have helped us get where we are. I mean, most of it was kind of taken care of by the time we met you, but that's okay. A great deal of it is still coming from supporters like you. And honestly, if you want to be one, we would love to have you as a supporter. If you want to be part of our crew of bandits on Patreon, we'd love to have you going around. Guys, just trying to give you an idea of how this thing is going to look at night. As in beautiful sunset nights. It's gonna look gorgeous. And if you can complement it with some calm weather, still atmosphere, you will love flying it. We were flying it earlier today in the wind. It's just every plane in the wind ground effect there, by the way, just so you can see how the gear respond. Okay, going straight up. Even after several minutes of flying, look at that thing. Just gives it and puts it up. There it is. Critically low alarm. So guys, if you want to get one for yourself, I suggest you do. It's a great plane. If you're a beginner, might not be the best choice. And there was the first time I felt like I was losing visibility. And you know what? I'm going to actually bring it around. Takeoff flaps only. Camera crew, I'm going to probably cut in front of myself. I apologize. Okay. Just kind of want to take it easy on this turn. Full landing flaps coming in now. And we're just going to bring it in. Just kind of goose it in here a little bit. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, couple things that you can learn from my mistakes on Brian Phillips RC. Thrust reverse is awesome. We're actually backing, so let's keep watching the plane. Thrust reverse is awesome. If you ever build a property on many, many acres, build a bigger, longer, wider runway. Ours is about 275 feet from end to end, and that includes that little dip down that shoots you right into that cherry tree there, okay? So if you measure from the center of that to the center of where it turns to go out to the entrance, that's about 275 feet. Okay, for most every plane we fly, up to and including this plane, you can take off and land from a strip like this. Provided the trees don't get too much terribly taller, that cherry's probably gonna go bye-bye. As in, I'm gonna move it, if I can. Also, these trees don't belong to us, but they'll eventually die off when we have holes here, we have a hole here, and we have a hole here. And those holes, oh, look at that. That is so gorgeous.
Oh.
We have holes all over the place, and we like to stick it all over the place, like here. Mm-hmm. And then there's also another hole over here. And these holes help to make for contrast and spatial awareness that I can use to help me fly in tight environments. But make no mistake, tight environments with short runways mean that you have to be able to stop a plane faster than you probably should have to stop a plane. And I don't like three-wheeled landings on these because they get squirrely. Not quite as bad as the P-51 1.5 meter from E-flite. That one gets super squirrely. But this one does better on its mains, in my opinion. And I think that's generally true on most Warbirds. I want to be able to bring it in on mains and just keep it stopping right there with that thrust reverse. But this plane is an amazing joy to fly. If you get some calm weather, if you get no bugs attacking you, if you get beautiful sunsets like this giant like purple thing in the sky.
I wish it was pinker on camera. Oh, that looks better.
That's pretty pink, guys.
It is.
So this is just what we live with all the time. Of course, we've got
that one bird that's...
the one bird that calls out.
Every night.
It's so weird.
I don't understand.
Even during the day, it calls for me. So if you guys get an opportunity to fly an environment, just remember, build a bigger runway and you will be happier. Someday we hope to extend that runway and also run it across the dam when we build a pond, if we can build the pond. I just talked to the pond guy today. We're on the schedule. But it's gonna be very scary and they could tear the heck out of this property.
Yeah.
And if they get torn in and all of a sudden the videos stop, just have the authorities look in the back of the dam for Brian Phillips RC.
You can't replant trees once you take them out.
Yeah, once they're gone, it's going to be really scary.
Terrifying.
Yeah, so we're not sure if we're making the right call, but it's going to be awesome because then we do float planes and stuff like that. But also my hope is ultimately to have a crosswind that goes the other way. And that'll be a lot longer runway too. Unfortunately, if that ends up being a longer runway, the prevailing winds are usually down the main strip, which we call the road, and then down our runway, which is the way we designed it. So this plane will fit on this runway. And by the way, it is as narrow as 10 feet. It's actually about as narrow as 11 feet. They were supposed to be 10 feet, but the concrete guy was just very good to us and made it super wide. And also, if you do pour concrete like this, make sweeps. Sweeps are critical and they will make it much easier to use and it's gonna look better. It's gonna look more like an airport, which is kind of cool. And Megan and I both thought that was gonna be a bad idea. And my dad talked us into it because we used to run a concrete company years ago as a family. And so he said, you gotta do sweeps. And the concrete guy said, you got to do sweeps.
Well, yeah, we're glad
And that
we
was
listened.
totally 100% correct. We're so glad we did it. Plus, aerially, it looks cool. So anyway, guys, just a couple of morsels of additional unnecessary information. We like to do that here on Brian Phillips RC. I had somebody commented about that the other day, said that sometimes I interrupt important things to like share some side note. That does happen. I admit it. I'm really bad about that. And I'm not, I want to get better. I want to get better. The only way you can help me get better is to get in the air and fly these things. And the only way to do that is to check out the links in the video description below and buy them for yourself. I think you guys are gonna love them. It's honestly the best way you can support us. If you don't wanna do that, we have Patreon and PayPal available. Patreon, of course, is monthly support. And we have donation levels down to like $1 a month. So, I mean, it ends up being very little. But the thing is, just keep in mind, there's a lot of fees built in there. So we see a lot less of that money. If you wanna be PayPal-esque, and just friends and family style, that's the best way, because then there's no fees involved. Because if I'm supporting somebody, I want the support to go to the person we're supporting. But we still think the best way is just buy these things. They're awesome. You'll love them. This one is no mistake. It's been out before. It's out again. And I know you want one. Don't let it get discontinued. Don't let it go out of stock. Don't let it get back ordered. Whatever the problem was that caused it to disappear for a while, don't let that be after you get one. Okay, because you're gonna love this plane. It's every bit as good, if not better, than the other 1.2 meter Warbirds. The P-51 is amazing, the Cripes Almighty current one. Of course, we've got the F4U Corsair, which is back in the blue livery instead of the one with the weird marine green. People
stripes.
didn't like, a lot of people didn't like that. Some people did. I actually kind of thought it was cool.
That was cool.
I hated it at first, and then I got it, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. The T-28?
T-28, which is hands down one of the best planes. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Obviously the P-51, the F4U, Spitfire. I don't think they have the Spitfire right now. So I don't know if that's going to get re-released. I'd be very happy if they did. It was one of the squirrelier ones I had, but then later I figured out I did something wrong and I went to the wrong hole on the elevator, fixed it on my buddies. That thing flew gloriously, but it is a fast flying plane, the hardest of the group. T6 Texan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And I think that one was discontinued and still is discontinued. But that was a good flying plane. It was probably my least favorite flying of the group.
Is there a P-40?
There's P-39, P-39.
In that size class?
No, there wasn't. I don't remember there being a P-40 in the 1.2. The P-40 was an FMS product that was in the 1.4 meter size.
Yes.
And then they had a 1.1. But anyway, getting back to the 1.2 meter size, I never did see the P-40 in the 1.2, but I don't know why. It would be an awesome plane for that size class. So, but that being said, the split flaps on the Spitfire were beautiful. It was one of the most gorgeous of the group, but those narrow inboard wheels made it really tough to land and turn on the ground. Ground handling was poor, but it did look good. And we had a cool video where we were flying and there was this big lightning that happened in the back. I don't know why I remember these things, but I do. That was back when we filmed at DMAC. So anyway, guys, so much more from Brian Phillips RC coming. We appreciate you being part of this little RC endeavor of ours, and we wouldn't be doing it. I hope they probably can't see that. They probably can't hear that.
Probably not.
It's an alpaca, right?
No.
What is it?
It's a peacock.
It's a peacock. Yeah, it's like. That
was great.
Terrible. It sounds like kids screaming or something. It's funny.
It kind of does.
But anyway, you hear it all the time, just like randomly. So anyway, guys, like I said, Squirrel,
see,
if you want to help support us, you know how to do it. We've got so much more coming from Brian Phillips RC, and we love pumping out the good content. And we promise we're doing our best not to turn into one of these channels where it's like best, fastest, craziest, most expensivest, cheapest, best under 100. There's a time and place for that, but that's not what we do here. What we do here is we're just going to show you what it is, and you can make up your mind. Hey, is it worth whatever they're selling it for today? Because the thing is, chances are, by the time you buy it, it's going to be selling for something different than we said anyway.
Yeah.
And we just feel that's really disingenuous, so that's why we don't do it. Not trying to beat anybody up who does, like pretty much everybody that's our competitors. But we just don't think that gives you guys much value, because anybody can say best about anything online. That's a waste of air. Because anybody who works in marketing online is going to say what they're selling is the best. Of course it's the best because I'm selling it, right? No, that's not the best plane, although it is pretty dang good.
It's the best one we've flown today.
Yeah, okay, we'll lead off with that. So anyway, guys, definitely an awesome P-47. I think you'll like it. It's got its drawbacks, no LEDs. It's got its drawbacks, hard tires. However, yeah, hard tires in combination with no spring-loaded oils. However, you saw how good and how greasy those landings looked. It's not really a problem on this bird, okay? It just isn't. Same thing with the P-51 Cripes Mighty, previously June Knight, previously Blondie, previously, I think it might have been Texan. I don't know. Anyway, that bird's talking to us again. He's saying, hurry up, wrap this up, Ryan.
Yeah.
So, number one complaint would be LEDs. Just get us some LEDs on these 1.2 meters.
Yeah.
We have smart technology, we have thrust reverse now. It's getting to where we're having to really pick hard on these planes.
Yeah.
To get. And we did actually, admittedly, there's one other thing I noticed.
What?
On this plane, there was a couple of areas where the moldings weren't trimmed very clean.
Oh.
Again, not something that can't be fixed, but it was just kind of like really sort of out of character on an E-flite product. So again, sometimes we get these things, product development has been working on them for testing, and because we're getting early samples, they've been used a little bit. And so a little road rash here and there, or hanger rash, but beyond that, pretty much regular full true colors. So all right, guys, that's all you get for today. Thanks for watching. Awesome plane. I think you'll enjoy it. I would highly encourage you to get this one if you don't have it. If you like the P-47, and if you don't, I don't know why you don't, because they're awesome. And this is the P-47 Razorback from E-flite. Come back for more.